Hello and welcome everyone اللي قاعد join. Hope you're doing well. On yesterday's project, we used a command called chmod, but I'm sure most of you don't know what it does, what it actually means. Some of you do and are pretty cocky about it. I thought it would be a good idea to make a quick live today in شرحها and also dive deep into the concept to prepare you for the shell permission project. اللي مازال ما خدمو اللي خدمو ولا والغي كوبا غادي تفهم دابا بروجي كي غادي يدير تخدم. So first, what I'm going to do is show you the output of ls-l command. I've already gone through this command and I'm sure most of you are familiar with it at this point. I'll press enter and we can see the content of my current working directory had -al كتعطينا more information, and that is important to us to see what permission every file has. إلا عقلتوا في الفيرست لايف اللي درنا على shell navigation قلت لكم غير ما ديروش على هاد السترينغ هادو غنشرحهم من بعد. And here we are. هاد اللايف غادي يكون على permissions string. هاد البرميشن هذا string غنشرحوه كامل what it actually means كيدير ترجم هاد الكاركترز هادو باش تعرف البرميشن اللي عندك for each file or directory. دابا for this string غادي نقسموه for 4 parts. The first part or the first group غادي يكون غير هاد الكاركتر هادي الأولى. The second group غادي يكون هاد first 3 characters. The third group غادي يكون first 3 characters as well. And the fourth group غادي يكون the fourth 3 characters. I think راني عندي هنا واحد screenshot, so let me pull it up. So the first character هي D هو هاد الجروب ديالنا الأول. What does that mean? The D stands for directory. That stands for directory. هاد الاوبشن هذا الاول هاد الكاركتر الاولى كتقول لك what type of a file it is. For me it's a D, so غادي تكون directory. But إلا رجعت أنا للشيل ديالي I think عندي هنا شي files. Yep, عندي هاد 3 الفايلز. إلا كانت hyphen or dash, that means it's a file. If it's a D, that means it's a directory. كاينين غادي شي نهار غادي تلاقاو مع واحد الكاركتر فيها L, that means it's a link. Okay, so moving on to the second group, which is going to be, okay, let me just delete the first one. Going to be the first 3 characters. The first 3 characters symbolize to my name. Well, if إلا جبت هذا command from my terminal, it's gonna be here, it's gonna be Wafi. But for this guy, who is me to J. So هذا 3 first characters have a correlation to my name somehow. So what do these characters actually mean? Just باش نفهمكم بعدا راه اليوزر is the owner of the machine. إلا أنت عندك واحد virtual machine or عندك يوبنتو انستالي راك انت الاونر. سو هاد البرميشنز هادو ديالك. دابا غادي نشرحوا كل وحده من هاد الكاركترز and what it actually means. R stands for read. You can read what's inside the directory or a file. So if I have a file when they had permission to read the file, I can see what content is inside that file. I can see what is inside of it. Then for my case and the directory, so I can see what's inside the directory. إذا there's ls inside the directory, I can see what is inside of it. So لما كانش عندي هذا permission, I can't do that. For the second character, it's W. W stands for write. What does write actually mean? For a file, you can write that file, you can modify, you can add content to that file, you can add whatever the hell you want. Now for a directory, you actually have access to modify the directory, which means you can You can create files, you can create directories, you can do whatever the hell you want. So if you don't have, again, if you don't have the permission, you can't make any directories, you can make any files, and you can't modify that file. Uh, for the final character that we have, which is pretty interesting, it is X. X stands for executable. What does executable mean? I think هذا الرقم ديجا خدمته بيها. X means executable. It makes a file into a program. So for example, إلى عندي واحد الفايل فيه bunch of Linux commands. If I have the permission X, I can run that file وغادي print غادي تخدم لي دوك الكوماندز اللي كاينين inside that file. That is what a script is. A script has a bunch of commands, a bunch of instructions that you turn into a program using this X permission, and you can run that file. Now, for a directory, it actually something completely different. You cannot you cannot go inside that directory. So إلا جربت دير cd ديك directory and you don't have the X permission, you cannot go inside that directory. Okay, so شرحنا the first group which was this D, this first character. We شرحنا what is the second group, which is the user permissions. دابا غادي نفوتو the third group, this one. Got it. This group right here is the group for group. Okay, this is a group and it correlates to this one. Now, this one kind of doesn't make any sense because had the guy who made this file has his name as the user and his name as the group. Now we can change that group to something else, and a group is a bunch of users that are connected to my machine, to my Ubuntu machine, and I can give them permissions. كان دوك اليوزرز كندخلهم في هذا الجروب هذا, and I can give them permissions to do whatever the hell they want with this file. So for this group right here, that's called J, they have permission to read the file. They have, well, directory. They have permission to write, and they have permission to execute. I'll give an example because I don't think I explained it good enough. Imagine you have a company for accounting, right? Or let's just say you have a company اللي does other stuff بس عندك accounting بوحدو. دوك accounting people, they have files اللي only files فيهم شي content اللي credential that فيهم bank accounts فيهم all that kind of stuff. Other people can see those files as well. بس إلا صايبنا واحد الجروب, right? دخلنا دوك اليوزرز اللي خدامين في accounting on this group and we give them the permission to read only, right? So Duke accounting users can read what is inside the file, but other people can't. Now the last group that is on this string is going to be this three characters right here. The R, the W they don't have permission to write, but they have permission to execute. But what is this group? This group is other, or some other people like to say world. This group is everyone beside the group and the user. So everyone else, it's open source. Anyone that is not myself, that is not the user, and that is not in part of this group have these permissions. Let's just move on to some actual examples. I know that I'm running my ls-l command, and I have a bunch of directory here in my terminal. As you can see, all these are directories and these are just files. So here on this directory, I have myself, I have full permission to do whatever the hell I want. I can read to the directory, I can write, I can execute. For the group, they can read this directory, but they can write, they can create any files or directories, but they can execute whatever files I have for them. And for the other, they can do pretty much the same thing. I do have a file, just a test file over here. I made it literally just like an hour ago. As you can see, it has 0 bytes, and the permissions for it is I can read the file, I can write to it, but I cannot execute it. Same for the group, and for the others, they can only read it. They cannot write to it, and they cannot execute it. Now let's do a little experiment. All right, so I'm gonna do vi file.txt, and I'm going to, well, just put a command here. I'm gonna do ls dash l. I think it's better than نشيل أخرى. So I'm gonna do dash save my file. All right, now let's try executing this file. بغيت نراني هذا الفايل. Before I do that, let me just do dash ls dash l again. File.exe doesn't have the executable file. So let's try running it, see what we get. To run a file, you type dot, that stands for the current directory, كدير slash, كدير file اللي غدر عليه. All right, let's try and run this file. يقول لي permission denied. Why? I'm the owner. I should be able to run any file I want. So if I do ls-l, you can see that I don't have the execution permission to do that. So how do I actually give myself permission or give any other group permission to execute this file or any other permission I want? احنا وصلنا chmod or chmod. This is a command to give permissions or remove permissions. Okay, دابا غادي ندير chmod plus x, so زيد لي executable permission and كنعطيه السمية ديال الفايل اللي بغيتو. So I'm gonna run this command, and if I do ls-l, I can see that the
Change the
file,
color.
the color changed to green. That just means that is an executable. هذه غير customization ديال هذا distro ديال Ubuntu. Most distros have it, but psychanally they don't have it. If you want to know if my file is executable or not, كتشوف هنا. And I have user, I have write, I have read, I have write, and I have execute. So you notice بلي عطات ال executable to everyone. That's because أنا قلت لها give it to everyone. قلت لها غير plus x. It
ما
did
كنتش
exactly what it told.
specificator.
Yeah. Let me try running this file. نشوف بعدا واش يعطيني permission denied ولا لا. غنبدل السمية ديال الفايل، غندير mv نسمي شي حاجة، نسميها
دير فايل تكست عاد باش عطيه السمية.
نسميوها مصطفى.
سميه مصطفى.
ولا نسميوها غيموس for أو كندير السمية ديال الفايل file.txt. Alright, so now let's try running this file, and boom. Alright, غادي ندير bi نوري الدري بعدا بلي فيه. هاي شتا الكوماند اللي كانت عندي هنا. دابا فاش رانيت الفايل رانات لي هاد الكوماند هادي اللي كانت عندي.
انت مسكتيها في ETC.
يا صيفط على ETC. ما بغيتش ندير نفس الديريكتوري اللي خدام فيها just to show a difference وصافي. Alright, so if we do ls-l we can see the file. Alright, إلا لقيتو قبيله شويه كنا درنا chmod plus x file name which is most.txt now. فاش درنا هذيك الكوماند عطات لنا x for everyone, myself the user, the group, and also, well, everyone, the world. دابا if you want to specify which user we want to give, which group we want to give, we can do that as well. So I want to, well, I want to remove the X bit from myself, the user. I'm gonna do chmod. I'm gonna do U stands for user, and I'm gonna do minus X in heedly add executable, and I'm gonna do the file name. So must.txt. If I do ls-l again, you can see that I don't have the executable anymore. If I try to run the file, I wouldn't be able to. It's gonna give me permission denied. Let me remove the executable for everyone. So I'm gonna do chmod g minus x. This is gonna remove the group permission to execute. I'm gonna do the file name too, and I'm gonna do chmod other and the file name. All right, now nobody has the permission to execute this file. All right, now let's do something else. Let me first of all remove the write permission for myself. I'm gonna do chmod. I'm gonna do user. I'm gonna do minus w. This is gonna remove the write permission from the user, which is myself, and I'm going to do must.txt. The yep, we don't have the right permission to this file now. So let me try write something to this file. Let me do echo. Um, this is a test. Let me append that to must.txt. I run this command right now. It's gonna give me an error, permission denied. Why? Because I don't have the right permission to do that. But if I do chmod u plus w and I do must.txt, now if I try the same command, it's gonna run exactly how it should be. And if I do cat must.txt, we can see that the text was well appended to the file just fine because because I have the permission to write to this file. Let me see what I have. Okay, I think مفهومات هذا so far everything is clear, right? ده برقم فهمتوا string, what it means, what you can do to it. Let me just remove. Oh, by the way, you can combine the bits or permissions as well. You don't have to do chmod, sorry, chmod u plus x and then كتراني واحد الكمان أخرى كدي لها u plus w and stuff like that. You can combine them. You can do u plus. Uh, I'm gonna remove everything that I have. So u minus r w, and I'm gonna do the name of the file. So must.txt. If I do ls-l, now كملنا تقريبا مع البasics. So right now I'll get a little bit more advanced. Feel free to pause the video, try a few experiments on your end, and just rewatch a specific section. It's not going to be overly complicated, but it's going to go to the next level because I'm going to talk to you about the bit scores for each value. Basically, there's a numerical representation for read, write, and execute. And it's very important that you know this and understand it. But in order to understand how this works, the numerical representation, you have to know how everything works up till this point. So تعرف البيسكس تقدر تكمل معايا دابا. All right. Now, each permission bit has a specific number attached to it. So R for read, all right? R for read has a value of 4. W has a value of 2. Uh, W is for right, has a value of 2. X has a value of 1. Uh, well, just get that in your head. Just remember them. If you can remember them, just حطهم عندك في notepad because we're gonna use them in just a bit. Uh, so now that you understand what the values are for each of those permissions bits, what does that actually mean when it comes to understanding permissions? Well, if I was to execute the chmod command to change the permission of a file or a folder, yeah, we could continue using the plus x minus x like we did before. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we could use a little bit more efficient way when we understand how the numerical values هذول نكتبهم. So that I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to just give you a command, and then afterwards I'm gonna explain it. I'm gonna do chmod. I'm gonna do 770, and I'm gonna do the name of the file. I'm gonna click enter, and let's do ls-l, and let's see what happened. أول file اللي صايبته. As you can see, the I have full permissions to do everything. I have the group have full permission to do everything, and the other have no permissions at all. They cannot do anything. So what happened? I'm gonna explain it just a little bit by a little bit. So I'm gonna type the command again. كنت هنا there's a number, and there's a number, and there's a number, and I did the file name. Okay. I did this command, and I did a bunch of numbers over here. I did 770, and I did the name of the file. Now, هذا الكوماند ما تستخدم لكش question marks. I'm just doing it for explanation. But each position here في هذه numbers هادو represents a group. So the first question mark represents the user group. The second uh, question mark represents the group, and the third question mark represents the others. Now, let me explain what does 770 mean. So 7 actually we got it from 4 plus 2 plus 1. So عطينا 7. What it actually did is عطاتنا البيت ديال الرايت جمعاته مع البيت ديال read. sorry, permission ديال read اللي هو 4، permission ديال write اللي هو 2، permission ديال x اللي هو 1، جمعتهم كاملين في 7. So دابا فاش كنكتب 7 كنعطي myself. So هذا البوزيشن الاولى. So it's the user. I give myself full permission to do everything. For the second 7 كنت كتبت 7 هنايا. That's the same thing, but كتعطي full permissions to the group. That's 0 for the third group, which is other. So ما عطيتهم حتى شي bit. And so what it means is that ما عندهم حتى شي permission. كندير الفايل السمية ديال الفايل. It's gonna do the same thing. All right, that's pretty much it for the shell permissions. دابا عطيت لكم basics. There is much more, like you can change the owner, you can change the group, you can make a group, and you can assign that group to a user. أنا ما بغيتش ندير داك الشيء because first of all بغيت نعطيكم basics ما نروح نعطيكم الحوايج الساهلين. And after you have the basics, you can add to that. You can search it yourself. And for the second reason, أنا ما عنديش شي users اللي are connected to my shell, to my Ubuntu, so I can't give them access to that group. But if you want to learn more about that, ChatGPT is your friend. Google عارف في كل شيء. And if you want to learn more, there's YouTube. That's pretty much it for the shell permissions.